Now, Trump is pardoning a turkey today. They're named two of them, Waddle and Gobble. The turkeys actually stayed at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel before they were pardoned. Now, I stay at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel because Lincoln stayed there and U.S. Grant got drunk there. Okay? So I like that history. So I stayed there, and the turkeys stayed there. So they're pardoned. It's the fifth turkey pardon for President Trump. Now, there is no truth to the rumor that Senator Kelly from Arizona wanted to be in that pardon crew with the turkeys. That is not true. Okay. Now, this is, I guess it's cute, but it's meaningless. But come on, I'm not going to be a Grinch here. Now, the turkey pardon dates back to Abraham Lincoln's son, who asked his father to spare a pet turkey, because they did have Thanksgiving during the Lincoln administration. We'll get to that in a moment. Fascinating. So, going back to 1622, the Puritans, obviously, with Squanto, they had the 3-day Thanksgiving. And then it kind of went fallow for a while, right? I mean, it wasn't organized, and yeah, the harvest was over, and some states did some stuff. But it wasn't until Abraham Lincoln came into office in the middle of the Civil War that Thanksgiving took on a modern shape, correct?
Right. Well, some earlier presidents had tried. George Washington, 2 different years, had proclaimed a national day of Thanksgiving during his 8 years. John Adams twice during his 4 years, James Madison twice during his 8 years. But nobody was trying to make it an annual national tradition. And in the meantime, several states were making it an annual national tradition, but it wasn't all the states. And so a wonderful woman named Sarah Josepha Hale in the 1840s decided it needed to be a national annual holiday. And she began a serious campaign. She was the editor of the leading magazine of her era. She'd write all these wonderful editorials describing Thanksgiving in the glowing terms we think of today, in terms of families coming together, big meals, prayers, reviewing the year, et cetera, et cetera. But her pleas kept falling on deaf ears until finally in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln said, yes, you've got the idea we need, particularly in the middle of the Civil War. And it all started as an annual tradition there in November 1863, and we've celebrated it every year since then.
Now, that woman, Lamb, right?
Hale, Sarah Joseph.
She wrote a very famous song. That's why I get the names mixed up.
Famous poem, Mary Had a Little Lamb, was her most famous poem. She had books of poetry. She wrote novels. She wrote short stories. And she had this magazine that had writers like Nathaniel Hawthorne and Edgar Allan Poe and Washington Irving. And so she was
big. She wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb. So how did she get in touch with Lincoln?
Well, she was a very prominent business person in Philadelphia, and she just wrote a letter to the White House the same way you and I can. But because of her influence, presumably, her letter got to the top of the stack. And Lincoln, during his presidency, was on something of a spiritual transformation. He issued several proclamations for days of prayer and fasting and Thanksgiving. So when her pitch came in late October, within a week, he said yes. He was absolutely ripe for taking her idea and formalizing it, and it's been with us ever since.
Well, and I'm glad you wrote this column for the Dallas Morning News, which will be on Thanksgiving morning. I didn't know this, and I wrote Killing Lincoln. And maybe you can explain to me, in 1863, the Civil War was not a fait accompli. It was a bloody mess that the North could have lost. And why would Lincoln want to be thankful for that?
Well, what he was thankful for, as far as the fall of 1863, they had big days on July the 4th with Gettysburg and Vicksburg. He had issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, which meant all the slaves from the South were running up to the North, joining the Northern Army, creating a manpower surge that Lincoln thought was going to be absolutely crucial to victory, which in fact it was. So yes, the war was still in full force, but there were reasons to think that there was going to be better news on the horizon. Of course, in 1864, the next year, when Lincoln seizes on Ulysses Grant as finally the general who can win this war,
Right.
he's probably got his eye on Grant already since he had been the lead Union general at Vicksburg. So finally, he was coming across generals who could win the war. And this emancipation, of course, with his religious transformation, thinking that slavery was a moral evil, that God definitely wanted slavery to end as the great national sin, which Lincoln formalized in his second inaugural address in 1865. So he was going through this transformation and seeing good things happening. But as you point out, there was still a lot of war
Yeah.
left to
So
take place.
he wanted to, bring God into it and all that. And then you flash forward to the federal holiday where mail isn't delivered, everybody is off. And that didn't happen in World War II, right? Till FDR.
Well, it happened every year just because maybe the precedent set by Lincoln, whatever it was. We never missed a year after 1863. But as you point out, it wasn't until Franklin Roosevelt's presidency in 1939 when he said, let's make this a definite date. And some years it was for many years, it was the last Thursday in November, which was not giving enough shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So by 1941, Franklin Roosevelt formalized it's going to be the fourth Thursday in November.
But again, it's the same dilemma. In 1941, we're looking at the Nazis in Japan rising in ferocity. And then all of a sudden, well, let's get a Thanksgiving holiday, formal holiday. And you go, what are we getting thanks? This is a big war coming on. But Roosevelt had a little bit different take than Lincoln did on it, right?
Well, Roosevelt was thinking we're still in the Great Depression, even though World War II was bringing us out. He wanted to make the holiday such that it would maximize the boom to the economy that Holloway.
The economic things. It wasn't so much God, it was manna for FDR.
Correct.
Yeah, he wasn't a God. He wasn't a big God guy. Very fascinating, Mr. Boston. Again, Talmadge's article will appear in the Dallas Morning News on Thanksgiving Day. Thanks for helping us out. Really appreciate it. Fascinating.
Thanks as well to the chairman of the National Turkey Federation and the CEO of Butterball. That's a big deal. Jay Jandren. Where's Jay? Thank you. Stand up, Jay. Thank you very much. Along with his wife, Leslie, and their 3 children, as well as the farmer who raised these 2 magnificent birds, Travis Pittman and Wayne County, North Carolina. I won Wayne County by a lot. That means you had to vote for Trump, I think. I won by 92%. I like Wayne County. They're doing all right, right? And this is like a record-setting turkey that's going to be saved. The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those 2 people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling. These are 2 of the largest turkeys ever presented to an American president, over 50 pounds each. It's the largest we've ever had. And those are big turkeys. Are they as good as the normal-sized turkey? Better or as good? Do they tend to be a little fatty, maybe? No, he said no. He knows the turkey business. Anyway, despite their size, Secretary Kennedy has formally certified that these are the first ever Maha turkeys. I don't know if I agree with that. These are Maha. In other words, they could be fat, but they're still Maha. They've been fattened on a steady diet of grass, beef, to allow the smoothies and all of the other things that they've been eating for this occasion. This was a really big occasion. But they've eaten every fattening food that you can eat. We wanted to really make them special, and they really are. They're like record-setting. I've never seen a turkey that big before. Are they violent at all? Will they attack as I walk over? Because if they were, I'll stay right up here. But instead of pardons, some of my more enthusiastic staffers were already drafting the paperwork to ship Gobble and Waddle straight to the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. And even those birds don't want to be there. You know what I mean? It was a tough I'd like to thank the president of that country. They do a rather efficient job. On a more serious note, as we gather around the dinner table, I'd like to lose a few pounds too, by the way. And I'm not going to lose it on Thanksgiving, I can tell you that, because I'm going to have a turkey, but it's not going to be that one. I hope all Americans will have the chance to enjoy the fellowship of family and friends and renew our faith in God's providence. And this Thanksgiving, we're also making incredible strides to make America affordable again. Walmart announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is 25% lower than just 1 year ago. That's a big deal. According to the USDA, the price of Thanksgiving turkey is down 33% from its Biden-era highs. Potatoes are down 13%. Ham is down 15% compared to last Thanksgiving. So we are down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. Egg prices are down 86% since March, and gasoline will soon be hovering around $2 a gallon. Under our leadership, we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest spending cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, and we have fully secured our southern border. I've also ended 8 wars in 9 months, and we're working on that final war. It's not easy, but I don't know. I think we're going to get there. 25,000 soldiers, Ukraine, Russia. In the last month, 25,000 soldiers have died. So I think we're getting very close to a deal. We'll find out. I thought that one would have been gone quicker. We did 8. I thought that would have been an easier one, but I think we're making progress. In less than 1 year, we've accomplished more than most other administrations have accomplished in 8 years. And this is a very special Thanksgiving. We thank God for his many blessings and the great success that this country has seen in the short period of time. We draw strength from the love of family and friends, and we express our undying gratitude for the men and the women of the United States Armed Forces. We love them. We pray that peace and prosperity will continue to bless our land, and together we'll really just keep this great drive going to make America great again. MAGA, I think it's the greatest expression in the history of politics. Make America great again. So once again, Melania, thank you for doing such a great job and being such a great First Lady. And now let's go and give Waddle. Waddle, by the way, is missing in action, but that's okay. We'll pretend Waddle is here. The gift that they've been waiting for. And I'll move over and I will just say very nicely, Gobble your pardon. Come on, let's say it in front of Gobble. Thank you very much, everybody. Are you ready? Gobble, I just want to tell you this, very important. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. That's good. Beautiful. That's nice. Who would want to harm this beautiful bird? That's good. That's good. Thank you very much. Fantastic job. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.